The church was packed. Fake tears, fake sobs, and fake prayers. All for the woman they thought was dead. But hidden in the shadows of the choir loft, that very same woman watched her own funeral, smiling. Because she knew the truth. They didn't come to mourn her. They came to collect her money. But what they didn't know, she was about to turn their lives upside down. Meet Dolores Whitaker, 78, widowed, former high school principal, and the reluctant matriarch of the most dysfunctional American family this side of a soap opera. There's daughter Melanie, a Botoxed real estate agent who calls twice a year, once on Dolores' birthday and once when she needs help with her mortgage. Son-in-law Greg, a smooth-talking narcissist who calls Dolores Ma when he wants something and that old woman when he thinks she can't hear. And let's not forget Ricky and Tasha, her 2 teenage grandkids who only visit when their video game subscriptions expire. Dolores had spent years trying to win their love. Family dinners, birthday checks, college funds. None of it mattered. They wanted more. Melanie's latest phone call had been different. She was crying, saying she and Greg might lose their house. Dolores offered to help again, but this time, something in Melanie's tone felt rehearsed. One rainy night, Dolores' brakes failed. The car spun out on the highway, crashing into a ditch. She survived, but the mechanic later said something that chilled her to the bone. These brake lines were cut. This wasn't wear and tear. Dolores didn't want to believe it, but then she overheard Greg on the phone. No, she doesn't suspect a thing. Once she's gone, the lake house is ours. Her hands shook. Her breath caught. It wasn't paranoia. Dolores decided she was done being the naive grandma. If they wanted her dead, she'd give them just that. She called Evelyn, her lifelong friend and former school nurse. You remember how we always joked about faking our deaths and moving to Mexico? Dolores asked. Yeah, Evelyn replied. Let's make it less of a joke. Within 2 weeks, they staged everything. A fake heart attack during a stressful dinner with Melanie, an ambulance ride, a doctored death certificate, and even a local mortician who owed Evelyn a favor. Dolores went underground. Literally. She moved into Evelyn's basement and watched everything unfold through a system of hidden cameras Evelyn's tech-savvy nephew had installed. Melanie wore white. She always told me I looked like an angel, she sobbed for the cameras. Greg gave a fake eulogy that ended with, she was a woman of great generosity. Tasha filmed a TikTok, RIP to the Queen, Grandma D. We finna miss you FR. Ricky asked if they could sell the lake house now, or do we gotta wait like a week? Dolores laughed until she cried, then cried until she laughed. I raised these monsters, she muttered. What none of them knew. Dolores had rewritten the will. Every penny, every asset, every property, left to charity. With a clause. If foul play is suspected in my death, my lawyer is instructed to reopen the estate and press charges. Cue panic. Melanie screamed. Greg fainted. Ricky threw his phone. Tasha stormed out and called Dolores a stingy ghost. Dolores, via pre-recorded video, appeared during the reading. If you're watching this, you failed. She looked directly into the camera. I know what you did. She paused. And so do the police. The room fell silent. Greg fidgeted. Melanie turned pale. The family turned on each other like rabid raccoons in a dumpster fire. Melanie accused Greg. You said she wouldn't find out. Greg barked. You told me to handle it. You literally told me to make it look like an accident. Tasha threw her phone down. I just wanted her Hulu password. I didn't sign up for murder. Ricky walked out, saying, Y'all are wild. I'm gonna live with Dad. Greg cracked first. Then Melanie. They confessed to planting seeds in Dolores' mind about memory loss. Tried to convince her she was senile. They hoped to get power of attorney. Sell her home. Split the assets. We didn't mean to actually hurt her, Melanie sobbed. Too late. Everything was recorded. Dolores emerged at a local charity gala 2 months later. Alive. Thriving. Dressed in red. Lipstick on. Camera ready. News outlets called her the grandma who outsmarted her greedy family. Greg and Melanie were arrested in the parking lot, mid-mimosa. The judge called her faking her death stunt unorthodox but brilliant. Dolores testified calmly. The courtroom gasped when she said, "I had to die to finally live." The jury took less than an hour. Guilty on all counts. Dolores sold the lake house, donated the money to a scholarship fund for underprivileged girls. She started a garden club, took salsa lessons, got a rescue dog named Justice. She was finally free. No more manipulation. No more guilt. Her story blew up on TikTok and YouTube. Millions watched her video. #Dolores did that trended worldwide. She was invited to speak at senior centers, women's clubs, even TEDx. "Never underestimate a grandma with nothing to lose," she told one interviewer. As Dolores rose to fame, not everyone was cheering. The Whitaker children spun their own sob story to the media. Melanie claimed Dolores was a narcissistic control freak who gaslit the entire family just for attention. Greg appeared on a tabloid talk show, fake tears in his eyes. "I loved her like a mother. I still do. I just wish she'd picked love over theatrics." Surprisingly, some people bought it. Dolores began receiving hate mail. One read, "Old women like you don't deserve sympathy. You're manipulative." Another, "You faked your death. You're no better than the people you accused." For the first time since her plan began, Dolores felt doubt creeping in. Enter Jeremy Whitaker, Dolores' late husband's nephew. Estranged from the family due to his lifestyle, he'd always stayed away from the drama. But when he saw the online smear campaign, he reached out. "Aunt D, you may have pulled a stunt, but you did it with class." And they had it coming. He offered his help, social media management, PR advice, even a TikTok series called #Justice for Dolores. Soon, Dolores was back in the good graces of the public. Her story became a Netflix documentary in development. One evening, Evelyn opened the door to find a young woman, no older than 30, standing with a baby in her arms. I'm your granddaughter." Her name was Chelsea. Greg's daughter from a fling years ago. Hidden. Forgotten. Raised by her mother in Iowa. "I saw the news. I wanted to meet the woman who tricked a whole family of snakes." Dolores was stunned. And cautious. But Chelsea wasn't after money. She wanted guidance. Connection. Dolores offered her tea and a chair. It was the start of something beautiful. Just as things settled, Dolores received a certified letter. It was from the law firm that managed her estate. A new claimant had surfaced, someone claiming to be the true heir to her fortune, with a handwritten letter allegedly penned by Dolores years ago. The signature was almost identical. "What is this?" she asked Evelyn. "Forgery. Someone was still playing games." And it had Melanie's fingerprints all over it. Dolores returned to court, this time, to prove a forged will was being circulated. Melanie, out on bail, arrived with a smug look. "You're not the only one who can play games, Mother." But Dolores had anticipated this. Her tech team had discovered an AI tool Greg had purchased 6 months ago, used to replicate handwriting. A digital footprint led straight to Melanie's tablet. In the courtroom, Dolores took the stand one last time. "They failed to kill me the first time. Now they're trying to erase my legacy." The crowd was silent. Her lawyer presented the AI data, the purchase history, the handwriting expert's testimony. Melanie's fake will was shredded in front of her. The judge didn't just rule in Dolores' favor, he sanctioned Melanie and Greg, barring them from ever contesting the estate again. Dolores started a scholarship fund in Chelsea's name. She began writing a memoir, Dead on Arrival, How I Faked My Death and Found My Life. She spoke at retirement homes, empowering seniors to protect their estates and their sanity. With Evelyn, Jeremy, and little Chelsea's baby Noah by her side, Dolores founded the Sunset Club, a senior community space where no one would ever feel used, forgotten, or unloved. On its first anniversary, Dolores stood before the crowd. "They tried to bury me, but I wasn't dead. I was planting roots." Dolores' memoir, Dead on Arrival, How I Faked My Death and Found My Life, hit the shelves quietly. But within a week, it exploded. Book clubs across America couldn't get enough. Oprah's people called. A bidding war for film rights began. At 79, Dolores became a best-selling author. She traveled for readings, met fans of all ages, and signed copies with her signature phrase, "Sometimes you have to disappear to be seen." At a reading in Santa Fe, she spotted a man in the back row. Tall, silver-haired, familiar. Later that night, she got a letter slipped under her hotel door. "We need to talk. It's about Charles." Charles, her late husband, the one she thought she knew everything about. Back home, Dolores searched Charles's old chest, which she'd avoided for years. Inside, she found photos, letters, a second life. Charles had another family, a woman in Vermont, a son. And now that son, Alan, wanted to meet her. Alan was nothing like Melanie or Greg. He was quiet, thoughtful, and respectful. "I didn't come for money," he said. "I just wanted to know the woman my father never stopped writing about." Dolores was shocked. "He wrote about me." Alan nodded. "He said you were the fire that kept his life warm, even when he was cold." Dolores invited Alan to meet Chelsea and baby Noah. To her surprise, the connection was instant. "I never had siblings," Chelsea said. "You do now," Alan replied. That night, Dolores wrote in her journal, "Family isn't what you're born into. It's what you choose to build." Just as life seemed stable, Greg was released early on parole for good behavior. He showed up at a Sunset Club event with reporters in tow, claiming he was a reformed man. "I forgave Dolores. The question is, can she forgive me?" Dolores took the mic. "I forgave you the moment I buried you, in my mind. You don't get to resurrect here." The crowd applauded. Greg was escorted out. Jeremy introduced Dolores to Marlon, a retired jazz pianist and widower. They shared tea, then songs, then long walks. Dolores felt something she hadn't felt in decades, fluttering hope. One evening under the pergola, Marlon took her hand. "You died to the wrong people, so you could come alive for the right ones." She smiled. Netflix released The Woman Who Watched Her Own Funeral. It was a global sensation. Evelyn was played by Helen Mirren. Dolores, by Meryl Streep. Even Melanie, from prison, tried to sue for defamation, but the court dismissed it instantly. Dolores received a letter in handwriting she instantly recognized. It was from a nurse at Charles's old hospital. Enclosed was a photo of him, holding an envelope titled, "For Dolores, if I don't make it." Inside, Charles wrote, "If I could do one thing over, I would have told you everything. But know this, I never stopped loving you." Dolores wept. Not from pain, from closure. On her 80th birthday, Dolores stood at the Sunset Club, surrounded by friends, allies, and chosen family. She raised a glass. To second chances, to truths uncovered, and to every woman who refuses to go quietly. The crowd roared. Somewhere in the distance, church bells rang. Full circle. Dolores stood before the grand fireplace, the flames licking shadows across her face. She gazed out at the gathering of strangers-turned supporters, women and men from all over the country who saw in her the strength they needed. She had written a second book, titled Playing Dead, Living Free, and its pre-orders had crashed her publisher's site. But none of it mattered as much as the handwritten letter now resting on her lap. It was from Margaret. Yes, her sister Margaret, the one who had vanished from the family after their father's funeral. She had seen Dolores's viral video. "You did what I never had the courage to do," the letter read. "You made them see. I'm proud of you." Dolores wept, not out of sadness, but release. Unsurprisingly, with fame came the parasites. Gerald and Judy resurfaced with cleaned-up acts, fake humility, and crocodile tears. They claimed they'd changed and just wanted to reconnect. They even brought flowers, plastic ones, no less. Dolores didn't even open the door. She sent a note instead. "Your audition was cute. But this isn't a second chance, it's a closed curtain. Good luck out there." Dolores met with her attorney, Ms. Pina. "I want the estate to go to causes that truly matter. Elder abuse awareness, women's shelters, and," she hesitated, "set up a scholarship in my father's name. He was no saint, but he believed in hard work. And your grandchildren? Only if they come to see me. Not my money." One evening, the doorbell rang. A teenager with shaggy hair and unsure eyes stood there. "Hi, I'm Maximum. I think I'm your grandson. I didn't know what they did to you, but I want to know you." Dolores studied his face. There was sincerity there. And pain. She smiled. "Come in, Maximum. But you better like tea." Netflix came knocking. A limited docuseries titled Dead for the Will. The Dolores Harrington story was in the works. Dolores hesitated. But then she thought of all the women watching from recliners, fearing their own families. "Fine," she said. "But I get final cut." The trailer dropped. Dolores sitting in a rocking chair, saying, "They wanted me dead for a signature. So I gave them a show. And now, they can watch." Overnight, she was a sensation again. Hashtags, talk show invites, even memes. But Dolores kept her focus. It was never about the fame. Judy sent one last letter. Real ink, real tears smudged on the page. "I can't undo what I did. But I want you to know I hated myself every day after. I hope you find peace. Whether or not you forgive me." Dolores didn't reply, but she lit a candle for Judy that night. Forgiveness wasn't always spoken. The Dolores Harrington Foundation opened with a ribbon-cutting ceremony attended by survivors, activists, and one shy grandson who now called every Sunday. The foundation's motto? Live loudly, die only once. Dolores sat beneath the old oak tree in her backyard. No disguise, no cameras, just her, the breeze, and a feeling she hadn't known in decades, peace. One last video. For her YouTube fans. You watched me play dead. Now watch me live. If you're out there, feeling invisible, used, unloved, this is your sign. Fake 'em out if you have to. Just don't let them kill your spirit. She winked. Like, share, subscribe, and raise hell.